Your homework tonight is going to ask you to solve the right triangle. And what they mean by that is not only finding a single missing angle, like here x, but also finding the other missing angle and the remaining side here that we'll call y. But we will start with solving for x in this particular problem using the inverse trigonometry that we learned in class. So here we need to label the 7 and the 20 as either opposite, adjacent, or hypotenuse. We can see here that the 7 is across from the x, so it'll be our opposite, and the 20 is across from the 90-degree angle and is the longest side of the triangle, so that'll be our hypotenuse. As you'll remember, opposite and hypotenuse is the sine ratio, and so we can write that the sine of our angle is equal to the opposite on top and the hypotenuse on the bottom here. I can't actually find the sine of x in my calculator. That's not a feature. But what I can do is use the inverse sine on both sides to cancel the sine, and I'll be left with whatever the inverse sine of 7 over 20 is. You can turn 7 over 20 into a decimal and then take the inverse sine, or you can type the fraction right into the calculator, inverse sine of 7 over 20, and it comes out to be 20.5 if you round, 20.5 degrees. So if this angle right here is 20.5 degrees, this angle right here is 90, and I know they all have to add up to 180. 90 plus 20.5 is 110.5. Then this angle right here has to be whatever makes that go to 180. So 180 take away 110.5. I'm left with 69.5 degrees, so that the three angles add up to 180 degrees. The last thing we need to solve for in this particular problem is this third unknown side. And to do this, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to redraw my triangle down here. And we know that this side is 20, this side is 7, and we're trying to solve for x. So I'm going to label my sides as A, the shortest, B, the medium, and C, the hypotenuse. And then we'll run A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So that's 7 squared plus b squared equals 20 squared. 49 plus b squared equals 400. From here we have to subtract 49 from both sides. So b squared is 351. And the last step here to get rid of this 2 is to take the square root of both sides. And using my calculator, I can find that the square root of 351 is 18.7. And so B here is 18.7. So in review, we used inverse trig to solve for the 20.5. And then we used the fact that the triangle had to add up to 180 degrees to solve for the two missing angles. And then finally we use the 7 and 20 with the Pythagorean theorem here to solve for the missing side.